today's discussion, I'd like to discuss the issue of depression. During the Great Depression, when things fell apart in this country over a significant period of time, they never used the word depression. The word was only used, to my knowledge, some years after the Depression was over. In my opinion, and I've been telling people this for years, we entered into the greatest depression in the history of the world in March of 2000. We've been in it now 15 years. We could be in this depression another 5 to 15 years in its deflationary phase. After that, the depression would continue unless something radically changes, but it will turn to an inflationary depression. Now, I want to be careful about these terms. A real deflation I've talked about in a previous discussion. That's when prices go down because people are free, money is sound, and more high-quality goods are produced at a lower cost. That's real deflation. What we have now is not deflation. It's a dramatic decline in the economy. Things are falling apart. As a result, people don't have the money to buy things. As a result, prices go down. They're calling it deflation, but it's depression. Depression is a fundamental destruction of the economy, not something temporary, having nothing to do with anything else. It's a destruction of the economy. Now, fiat money, of course, is at the basis of this depression. Just as a reminder, in 1913, gold was $35 an ounce. Now it's over $1,200 an ounce. That's 34 times, more than 34 times what it cost 100 years ago. That means the dollar is worth something less than 2.9 cents compared to what it was in 1913. That's destructive to the economy because it's a complete wholesale rape of the American public savings. Gold has never changed in value. It's the yardstick. It's the dollar that's changed in value. Now, don't be mistaken. For the time being, the value of the dollar is going up compared to all the other phony currencies in the world. And we can discuss that. And it's something we can take advantage of to protect ourselves in the meantime. But the deflation, but the inflation caused by the Federal Reserve and the government working together in collusion is a criminal activity. The more money the government has, the more it can do, the less control it has. When our government started out, its purpose was to give government protection to our God-given rights. The government worked for the benefit of the citizens. They were limited in their budget, so they stuck to their legitimate purposes and they spent only the money they had. Once the Federal Reserve was created, and that criminal conspiracy in 1913 was designed between the federal government and the bankers, international bankers. Since that time, their budget has been unlimited. Because of that, the government is no longer dependent on taxes for their expenditures. They are dependent upon the Federal Reserve and all the bankers who own the Federal Reserve. So now their allegiance belongs to the Federal Reserve and the bankers who own the Federal Reserve, not the American people. That's an enormous change that people have to recognize. Now, I mentioned that all countries in the world have fiat currency, fake money, not a single exception. Right now, the American dollar is going up in value compared to other currencies. 5 years ago, if you'd told me you'd be able to buy a car 5 years later for less than $35,000, I'd have told you were crazy. But you could buy a brand new car, a good one, anywhere from $10,000 to $13,000 and up now. Why? Because the American dollar has gone up in value compared to other currencies. I have an image. 5 people jump out of a flying airplane. One of them pulls a ripcord, the parachute deploys normally, he's floating quietly to earth. The other 4 pull the ripcord and nothing happens. They're just zooming down to earth. It's going to be a quick end. If they should look back at the guy whose parachute deployed, it'll look like he's going up. He's not going up, he's going down faster than the rest of them. Compared to the American dollar, the Japanese yen has lost 42% in approximately a year. Most of all these changes have been in the last 6 months. The euro has gone from, you had to pay $1.36 3 months ago, now it's $1.15, $1.16 to buy a euro. The currencies are collapsing all around, and even some loss in the Mexican peso, which is close to us in El Paso. The point is, the American dollar is more valuable than any other and will probably stay that way for some period of time because there's so much upset all around the world. Our government has unseated governments, especially in the Middle East, and invaded a number of countries. And all the upset is causing people to flee their countries with their money and move the money here, which we're the big dog in this fight. And temporarily, the money's coming here and increasing the value of our money and raising the value of our stocks and bonds and things like that. They're looking for safety. Now, because there's an unlimited amount of money available to the government, these are the statistics. In 1913, the federal budget was $15.9 billion. It's a lot of money. In 2014, it was $3,778 billion. That's $3.8 trillion. In that 100-year period, the budget on an annual basis is now 237.6 times what it was in a given year 100 years ago. 237.6. Do we have 237 times the number of people in this country? Do we have 237 times the amount of productivity, or both? The answer is no. We've been slowly robbed as a result of inflation and government conspiracy with the Federal Reserve. In those days, in 1913, 7.5% of the national production was used for government expenses. Now it's 41.6%. More than 52% of all Americans draw a pension or some kind of a benefit from the government. Our founding fathers and others before them said once the people find out that they can steal from the public purse, the government will lose control of its budget and fail. And that's where we're headed unless we change things. We have the right and the responsibility to vote. That's helpful, but it's only limited. Basically, when we vote a criminal out of office, we replace him with another criminal. And even if he went in with good intentions, he will soon be polluted by the system, and you just replace one bad guy with another. It has nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats or independents or anything else. That's just the way it is. One of the major keys, besides voting, and we have to vote as best we can for decent people, forget parties, but if we vote for decent people who stand for decent principles and hold them accountable, that's one thing. The bigger thing is to find a way to eliminate their excess income, the creation of excess money, because when we limit their budget, we limit their ability to intrude in our lives and to interfere with the things we have a God-given right and responsibility to do, and they won't have the money to invade foreign countries who offer no risk to us. So think about that. Voting is important. Limiting the budget of the federal government is critically important. And with the two of them together, we could control an out of whack government. Our goals as individuals, we have to protect ourselves and our families, and by doing so, we're protecting the country, is to build cash as quickly as possible while it has value and while the value is increasing relatively. And I've been trying to help my clients do that for some years now, to the point where they have money available for emergencies if it's needed, but then to take full advantage of opportunities. And I can help in those realms, but people first have to have a balance between money on hand for emergencies and money on hand for opportunities. Without that, people are helpless. You can say, I know what's going to happen. Well, if you're broke, there's nothing you can do to protect yourself when it happens. If people have money safely stored, where it's freely available without question, without cost, without taxes, without anything, then they have the ability to rapidly move as circumstances change. They can protect themselves from potential losses, and they can take full advantage of opportunities. Don't consider anything I'm saying to be negative, because change, even if we believe the change is negative, change always creates opportunities. And my attitude is, with our eyes fully opened, avoid the disasters, the potential losses as much as possible, and take full advantage of the opportunities as they come. That way we can protect ourselves, we can protect our families, and eventually benefit the country. Because as we preserve our wealth, as other things hit the skids, then we can help bring the economy back and freedom back, and hopefully, more important than anything, God back.